now we can move on to your precious Steelers, who couldn't stay out of the news today. You guys had to do something. Had to, and I think you sounded opinionated in our texts about it. So
yeah, I have my opinions.
But I will open this up here. So let's start here. Justin Fields, he's been playing really well, right? Like super fun, super exciting player.
Yeah,
I traded for him. Pittsburgh has fallen in love with him. It's been like, man, this guy might be the quarterback of the future. He's not necessarily the best passer. The offense might not be like super complicated with him, but you know what? Under center, we're winning football games, and in the end, that's what matters. Yeah, we're going to bench him for Russell Wilson. No reason. Just want to see what's out there. So that might be happening this Sunday. Chus, let me know your thoughts on the matter right now.
All right. So, oh yeah, by you doing that, somebody should comment that. I
hope this becomes a meme.
Yeah, that becomes a meme. I remember whenever I said that, I'm excited to hear this. I got yelled at whenever I was talking about the Bengals struggling. Okay. This is what I imagined. Anyway, that's not the point. So Justin Fields being benched for Russell Wilson on Sunday is a pretty big possibility. And if not already confirmed by the time that this is uploaded. And I find it very interesting because Justin Fields, as I had mentioned to Josh earlier today, Justin Fields has 10 touchdowns total this season, 5 of which are passing, 5 of which are also rushing. Justin Fields finished with 16 touchdowns passing, 4 rushing touchdowns last year, 20 total, 11 interceptions. Justin Fields currently only has 1 fumble and 1 interception. Now, granted, he probably should have a couple more. There was definitely a couple dropped interceptions, or even, messed up fumbles. However, Justin Fields, as mentioned, has won us football games. We are 4-2. Yes, we haven't beaten the best teams ever. We went up and we beat the Denver Broncos. We beat Denver Broncos. We really beat on the Las Vegas Raiders this past week, which really shouldn't be a surprise because they weren't playing with Adams and literally they had Aiden O'Connell in throwing to Brock Bowers. You have us beating Atlanta, who is kind of inconsistent. Although they had that huge game against Tampa or whatever, it's really odd, but we beat Atlanta. We lost to Indianapolis. We lost to Dallas. We've beaten teams, but some of the teams, but the 2 teams that we lost to, we really shouldn't have lost to. But I don't think you can necessarily pin that on Justin Fields. Justin Fields in the Indianapolis Colts game had over 301 yards passing. I think he had 345 yards of offense. He had a great game. The defense is what struggled. We could not stop Michael Pittman. We could not stop Anthony Richardson. We couldn't stop Joe Flacco. It was the defense. And then at the end, yes, I think with the Dallas game, I think there was a lot of issues with how Justin Fields played. I think the offense could have been a lot more productive. However, the defense, our top 5 defense in the league, should not have also been able to give up a 14-play drive to Dak Prescott, who just got blown out by Detroit this past Sunday. It doesn't make sense. So when it comes to Justin Fields going into week 7, I understand that Mike Tomlin has his loyalties, and you told Russell Wilson back in March that he was going to be the starter. And that's what made Kenny Pickett so mad that he requested a trade. And now there's so much more information about that now. Back in this past March, it was a lot of skepticism, but we kind of understand what happened now. But point being is that Kenny Pickett left. He is now the backup in Philly. Russell Wilson was guaranteed the spot to start, but then Justin Fields came in. Russell Wilson hurt himself early on into training and then got benched for what was supposed to be our future. We kind of, Steelers fans kind of already knew that Fields was going to be molded into the future. I think he's been playing great. He is on pace to probably, if you keep him in, he is probably going to play and have better statistics than he did last year with Chicago. And I think that by putting in Russell Wilson now, I think it really puts a lot of problems possibly on the locker room. Because now Justin Fields, who you with George Pickens and Najee and whoever you want to put in there, they've looked at Justin Fields as the leader. And now with Justin Fields being benched in week 7, when he's 4-2, it's not like this dude's 1-5. He's 4-2. You're benching him for Russell Wilson. It really can cause a lot of issues. It could be a really big boom, but it could also really, really backfire. I think this is a terrible decision. I genuinely don't think, I understand putting in Russell Wilson, but there's really no reason or legitimate concept that would make sense to put in Russell Wilson other than kind of implying the idea that maybe you'll throw in Russell Wilson instead of Justin Fields to throw off the Jets on Sunday Night Football. That is the only logical explanation to why you would want to even consider putting in Russell Wilson and putting that all in the news. It's nothing against Russell Wilson's skill. His 3-to-1 touchdown conversion ratio is like 3-to-1. But I think that at this point in the game, this is the same concept that you had last season. Kenny Pickett was healthy, but everybody said you do not want to put Kenny Pickett in. You got to leave Mason Rudolph in. And at that time, people believed Kenny Pickett was the future. And obviously, we have learned now that Kenny Pickett is not. But now you have actual fans, Steeler fans, that are rallying behind Justin Fields, including in that Colts game. Now, people kind of complained a little bit during the Dallas game, but people are rallying behind that game, even though we lost, because he actually looked like a competent quarterback, which is not something we had the last 2 years. And we believe in Fields. A lot of Steelers Nation believes in Justin Fields. And to me, putting in Russell Wilson now is just going to cause more problems. And within a couple of weeks, there's a really good chance that either number one, I mean, I'm not saying Russell Wilson's going to be bad because I don't really know. He had a decent season last year. He had a bad season in 2022. He could do really well. But there's also that chance that he doesn't perform that well. If Steeler fans get anxious and angry, there's 2 night home games coming up. The Steelers do really well on primetime for the most part, other than the Cowboys game. They do pretty well. You're at home for the next 2 weeks. If Russell Wilson's going to start on Sunday and he's going to start on Monday as well, you're going and he does bad, you are going to get booed. They are going to get you are going to get reprimanded by the Steelers Nation. You are going to get ripped to shreds by Steelers Nation because this is not a move that you need to do. And I kind of compared this to Josh. This is very different from how the Jets are when the Jets were doing this. And I've been bringing up the Jets a lot today, but the Jets back in 2022, if everybody remembers correctly, they had their little quarterback carousel. And that's kind of where the saying for no buts about it came up, where the let somebody cook occurred. But basically the idea was that Zach Wilson wasn't performing. They put in Joe Flacco, and then Joe Flacco, I don't remember if he wasn't performing or he got hurt. They put in Mike White. Then all of a sudden, every week it was a different quarterback they were putting in because they couldn't decide who was good and who wasn't. Even after Mike White had like 3 touchdown games, they're like, we're still going to put in Joe Flacco. And it didn't fix anything. But the difference between that and now is Justin Fields has a winning record. The Jets were trying to figure out who their quarterback was at that point. We don't need to figure out who our quarterback is. We have Fields. He's younger. Russell Wilson, we really shouldn't have any loyalties to because he's on a 1-year, $1 million deal. He'll probably find somewhere to play next year. There's plenty of places that are going to need a quarterback, which includes the Raiders. He could go literally to any, there's multiple teams that I'm sure would probably take him. Maybe even Seattle. Maybe they'll take him back. But I can't see the logic in it. I can't.
I think the games you have coming up here are interesting. The New York Jets, very good defense, recovering offense. That'll be interesting to watch this coming Sunday. Then next week you have the New York Giants on Monday Night Football, which I know I'm biased, but that New York Giants defense kind of surprised me.
Oh, I know. I said that. I said I think the Giants are a little bit better than a lot of people give them credit for. And the problem is you have a pass rush with Russell Wilson. That O-line that we have is not that good right now. We are very beat up. We're a young team. And I don't even know if Zach Frazier is going to play yet. Nobody knows. And that's the problem that we kind of face right now is that we We don't really know. And the thing with Justin Fields was that he could use his legs. I think Russell Wilson's going to get killed back there. I don't know if Russell Wilson is going to be able to, because we don't have a line, and the rush is going to be pretty intense for these 2 weeks. I mean, it's not going to be like crazy, but you're still going to have problems. I mean, the Jets defense, like I said, I had my concerns with them. I think sometimes they're questionable, but I feel like that I could say the same thing with the Steelers defense. For as hyped up as the Steelers defense are, they are questionable at times. I mean, it's been very apparent over the last couple of weeks. But when it comes to the Jets, I mean, putting Russell Wilson in against the Jets, it for whatever reason, I feel like the NFL, I feel like it's got to be some sort of conspiracy at this point. They got to have Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson one more time on prime time with two different teams, but it makes no sense. I don't understand the logic behind it. It doesn't make any sense unless maybe the Steelers get Tyler Lockett or something, and then maybe it will make sense. The NFL has the perfect script, and then it makes sense, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And then when you have the Giants, like you said, the defense surprised me. I genuinely think we could lose both of these games. I think we could. I don't think we should, but I think that we could. I mean, with the new offense with the Jets and with the Giants having a surprising defense. And look, Danny Dimes ain't bad. And when Malik Neighbors is healthy, that offense ain't bad either. I mean, definitely not the best, but it's definitely one of those teams that just, they have the weapons to succeed, but they're just not. They're just an odd team. The Giants are just odd, but people tend to forget they were in playoffs only a couple years ago. So, but point being is that I can't see the logic in it, and it concerns me because why wouldn't you keep in Justin Fields, who's 4-2, who just came off of a big win against the Raiders? Yes, granted, it is the Raiders. Comes off a big win over the Raiders, and you're going home for Sunday Night Football. Why would you throw up the idea of Russell? Because you know that if Russell Wilson loses, it's just gonna look like an idiotic move because everyone's gonna be like, well, Justin Fields would have won. Justin Fields can actually run. Or if Russell Wilson looks bad and he can't run, people are gonna be like, oh, he runs like a tree. So I mean, I don't know.
And the Bengals offensive line has been bad in the past. This year it's been better, and they still struggled against that New York Giants pass rush was good.
Mm-hmm.
And you got sexy Dexter Lawrence lining up against potentially Zach Frazier's already been ruled out for this week. Who knows if he'll play next week? Zach Frazier's not your starting center, is he? So this would be
our
a
backup
third
center. Yeah. So we don't even. So that's what I mean. Like our line is already so beat up. Broderick Jones isn't even in his correct position. It's literally a whole mess right now, the line. And you're putting Russell Wilson back there, who is like one of the most sacked quarterbacks of all time because of how long he waits in the pocket. He is going to get demolished out there. They might, the Jets or the Giants might set a new sack record for like 12, 14 sacks.
Brian Burns was doing well. Azeez Ojulari from the linebacker position, he was blitzing a ton against the Bengals. He was in Joe Burrow's face, which Joe Burrow's not the most mobile guy, but he's elusive, and he was having trouble. Russell Wilson's going to get killed. Justin Fields needs to be back there when you guys face the Giants. The Jets, I don't know if they necessarily have as big of a pass rush or if they'll bring the house as much as what the Giants were against the Bengals. But from what I saw when the Giants played the Bengals, if you guys go in there with Russell Wilson back there, I would just sell out because I don't know how great of an arm he has to begin with. I would sell out and just try to sack him.
I was going to say, I'm sure his arm's fine. I mean, we saw him throw a couple like buttes during preseason. I mean, he looked okay, but like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, the schedule doesn't get easy. I mean, you're going up against the Jets and the Giants, and then you come back off bye and you play at the Commanders, who have been surprisingly good this year, like actually to the point that we're probably going to get marked by them. We are going to probably lose that game. And then you got four divisional matchups in a row. Ravens at Browns, at Bengals, Browns. And you're putting in Russell Wilson now just when Justin Fields is getting comfortable. And that's another thing. Russell Wilson is going to have to adjust to the whole new offense. And like, granted, yes, he's been taking this week. He's probably taking first team snaps. He's probably been studying the offensive playbook, and he's probably fine. But you're still throwing him out there after Justin Fields has been running the offense for the last 6 weeks. And now you're going to say, oh, yeah, Russell Wilson, yeah, it's your time. It's like, what do you mean? And it's not, and like people, and the thing that frustrates me about Mike Tomlin is that last season, Kenny Pickett had worse stats than Justin Fields, and they left in Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett had 130 yards passing and 1 touchdown and 1 interception, and they would leave him in every week because they were winning games. What makes sense now to bench Justin Fields, who has had over 150, 200 yards passing games, just to freaking put in Russ? It doesn't make sense to me. And listen, I'm a big Kenny Pickett fan, but their logic, the Steelers' logic just doesn't make any sense. It's like they want to have 9-8 and 10-7 seasons. It's like that's what they want. I think that we could win more with Fields. I think we could go 11-6, but I think putting in a new quarterback is stupid right now. I think it's just going to screw up the mojo of everything. I think the Jets are going to take advantage of that.